A stroke changes your life. Physical recovery is a step-by-step process. It may also demand that you make a realistic assessment of the kinds of changes you need to make in the way you live and your goals to adapt to your new circumstances. It may mean facing tough choices and seeing new opportunities in what you are able to do.
When I go home, I can get back into some of the things I was doing. And maybe there's some things I can't do, but that's the way I'm looking at it now, that I can do some things that not everything.
Well, we're gonna have to change the cottage, I guess, so I can get around a little, and ramps and whatnot.
Yeah, well, that's the cottage.
Yes.
But we can't go to our place in Florida because there's 2 sets of stairs. You know, who knows, we might get on a cruise or something where you don't have stairs. That's something that we might consider.
Oh, I need one of those chairs to go up the stairs. And things like that.
I want to see how I fit in, you know, with this equipment and so on and so on, in my house, which I've never had to worry about before.
I think once you get over the initial shock, and once you start seeing that things can be organized, that you have your independence and freedom, things do work out. But you do have to do quite a bit of planning in advance.
Give you a report on how you're doing in therapy, Maria. And if you have questions at any point.
We have a family meeting, and then we start to talk about, in a more formal way, about how people are progressing, and to start to let families and the patients have ideas about what they might want to do, because it's ultimately the patient's decision to make about where they're going to live when they leave here.
We all sit down, the patient, the caregiver, the entire family's invited in. We take our turns and we say, here's what we've seen over this last month, here's what we're expecting over the next little while. And it's at that team and family meeting that we end off with, okay, you've heard family and patient from the team. Now we're going to let you digest that information and think about what are the options. If we think 2 months from now or a month from now or 4 months from now, you're going to be at a certain level. Can you sustain that level in a very safe way, either at home or is that a long-term care facility or some other option?
There are some people who have milder strokes and will go home with a cane. Others will function with a walker. But for people who've had more serious strokes, some will need help functioning for the rest of their lives. And that can be very difficult to accept. You may have had a plan for your life, and everything is turned upside down.
And then we have to sort of match their hope and where they would like to go to what the reality is what we feel we can accomplish, what we feel their motor recovery is after the stroke, whether they will have the capabilities to be able to live in that environment that they've chosen to go home to.
What can we do to help prepare them for that? So we look at discharge planning. Where are they going? Who are they going to be with? What are their needs? And how can we meet those needs? As you know, we're working in therapy to improve things, but we also need to look further down the line because it's really important to know where we're going.
If home is the goal, many of our families come to the table and say, absolutely, we will support this patient, this is my father, we're going to be there. And then we have to invoke a little sense of reality in that you may love your dad, your mom, but is it sustainable? If they need to have 24-hour care, can you piece that together from the family? And you could do it for a month, or maybe 6 months, or maybe a year, but can you do it for the rest of this person's natural life? And we don't want to have to then start 6 months after they've left because of the caregiver stress, the burden on wives, spouses, husbands, children. That is a real burden, and with the wonderful best intentions in the world, they'll take the person home, but if they're not prepared to sustain it for a long, long time, you're not doing the patient any favors in the end.
If you plan to return to your home environment, there may be changes you can make to your home to help make it easier. Your physio or occupational therapist can help you assess your home and decide what changes are best. Changes like installing handrails or a wheelchair ramp can improve access. Bathrooms can be more functional by adding grab bars near the toilet, tub, and shower. Your bed can be adjusted lower by removing your box spring to make it easier to get in and out. These kinds of changes can make a big difference to your mobility and freedom.
We generally start off with them going home just for maybe a couple hours in an afternoon. Sometimes we suggest they just go for a drive